Hello, my name is Janis Eldridge Scharnott, and my husband and I were proud members of the Cuyahoga Falls High School class of '68. We were pleased to nominate our fellow alum, John Putman, for this Distinguished Alumni Award. John will share more about his professional business and entrepreneurial and research life later, but we thought you should know a bit about John the person as you move ahead with your exciting futures. His truly greatest success is in being a friend and a great family man. John and I have known each other since 7th grade at Bolick Junior High School. Kay Freeman Putman moved to the Falls in 9th grade when Kay and I immediately became best of friends. We've enjoyed maintaining our friendship through the challenges, successes, and failures in our lives, and have been privileged to watch as Kay and John shared in their creative and business successes. John has been involved in the inception, growth, and leadership of multiple companies. Early in the COVID-19 pandemic, within 3 months, he created, built, and received permission from the FDA to distribute a non-invasive ventilator that has been life-saving to many. While tonight's recognition accurately reflects John's career, life isn't all work, although it may seem that way sometimes. Adventurous alongside his son Matt, he has attended a high-wire trapeze school in New York City, slid through Swedish Arctic snow, and hiked the Grand Canyon. Besides his successes in research and business, John has expanded his creative life with years of collecting and repairing antique banjos and ukuleles, and more recently has delved into the repair of vintage mechanical watches. That's the kind you actually have to wind. The holder of 65 patents, John has a mind that never stops working, and it has been fun to watch. Please say hello to our friend, John Putman.
I'm gonna cry. The disadvantage of talking last is everybody has said what I already wanted to say, so I'm just gonna be redundant in these things. First, I want to thank the foundation. This is an unexpected, but really an honor that I will cherish. Being asked to speak to a group of high-achieving 2022 graduates is intimidating. I know that I'm expected to be inspirational and share wisdom, but it's unlikely that I'm going to do that. What I will do is try to share a bit of my story and my journey going through the Falls system and my work career. My journey began when I moved to Cuyahoga Falls in 3rd grade and entered Grant Elementary School. During my first day, and literally my first day at the school, we had a spelling bee in our class. I was fortunate enough for my introduction to Cuyahoga Falls not to be too embarrassed. And by that I mean I didn't fail the first word. It was nearly the 3rd word before I was out of the spelling bee. Things didn't progress quite as well as that. 2 years later, they had a school spelling bee. The first word that came across to me was cute. I still don't understand why cute doesn't start with a Q. That was a little bit embarrassing, but what's even more embarrassing is that Bill Carrick was on the stage also. Bill went on to win the National Spelling Bee Championship. I can move on to junior high now at Bolick. During our graduation party at Baker's Acres Lake, the boys decided to throw the girls into the lake. We each chose someone, and I chose Kay Freeman, who was new to the school. She didn't even know my name. Nearly a year later, I asked Kay on a date. We went out and we had what I thought was the best time I realized what a special girl she was, and I couldn't have been happier. I called her the next week and asked her out on another date. She told me that I was a nice boy. Things sounded good at that point. But I was too short to really like as a boyfriend. I can't spell, and I can't seem to get a second date. Even with the heartbreak of this, high school was wonderful. I had great classes, football and basketball games, theme-based dances and proms, plays and performances, and friendships that have lasted to this day. And I can say there are more than a handful of people here that I cherish as friends for the last 60 years. I just want to make a quick follow-up about Kay. At the end of our senior year, she asked me to go to a graduation party. 2 years after that, I asked her to marry me, and shortly after that, we were married. In my last quarter in college, I had one more class to take. It was a 5-credit course, and I could take anything that I'd like. I chose to take a class in partial differential equations. I needed these credits to graduate. This was a 10-week course of study, 5 days a week, 55 minutes a day. We had no tests during the time. We had no term papers to write. We had no midterm. We did have a final exam. On exam day, I walked into the classroom, and the professor handed out a blue book. And I'm not sure if the students know what blue books are, but they are a 5 or 10-page book that we were to fill out all of our answers in. The professor had written 5 questions on the board and gave us 3 hours to complete the test. I dutifully put my name on the blue book, read the 5 questions, closed my blue book, and handed it to the professor. I didn't answer one question. There is no way that I could pass this course. To put this into perspective, I was a senior, married, and needed a passing grade to move on with my life. When grades were posted, I stood outside the professor's office to confirm my failure. It turns out that I got a C in the class. I surely didn't deserve it. Being a little bit ignorant, I went to talk to the professor to see if there had been a mistake. He said that the class started with 15 students, but after 1 week, there were 11 students. Just before there was time to drop the class without penalty, there were only 5 students left. He let me know that lasting in his class for the 10 weeks, taking notes and occasionally asking a question, that I surely must have learned something, and that something deserved a C. A quick summary. I couldn't spell, but I competed with a national spelling bee champion. I fell in love with a girl who wouldn't go on a second date with me. And I gambled the opportunity to graduate from college by taking a class that I was grossly unprepared to take. This strangely set me up for much of my working life. I always tried to surround myself with people far smarter than me, and I was fearless about trying new things. I was willing to try things even though the possibility of failure was real. I, however, always had the confidence that I would succeed. A few years after graduation, Kay and I started a company that was based in Cuyahoga Falls. This company produced instrumentation that was used throughout the world to test tires and other rubber products. I traveled to see many of our customers across the world, and I met local people learning their cultures. At one time, we could honestly say that if you took any car, some part of that car was tested on our instrument. After we sold that business, my son Matthew asked me to co-found a company with him that we also started in Cuyahoga Falls. We filled a niche market in the instrumentation business for semiconductors and biotechnology, where we participate in fields from solid-state electronics to gene sequencing. When asked, what do I do, maybe the simplest thing to say is that I am an inventor. I help design real logical instruments, nanotechnology inspection equipment, and respirators to help people breathe during the COVID crisis. To date, we have donated more than 5,000 respirators worldwide to help relieve breathing distress due to COVID. In all of these businesses, the possibility of failure was real, and I was told by many people that the possibility of failure was quite likely. As before, I had the confidence to proceed and the confidence that I would succeed. What is clear to me is that I did not do this alone. Kay and Matthew were my pilots of these companies, and I was the co-pilot. Many of my fellow Falls High graduates were part of the team to help me succeed. Our banker, insurance provider, executive consultant were all classmates. The police chief was a classmate, and we bought pizza from restaurants owned by classmates. I was not alone in my journey, but I had a team backing me up in every way. When told that I would fail, I remembered that the team was behind me and that I was confident of success. For the graduates of the class of 2022, you've had 12 years of experiences that are the beginning and the foundation for the rest of your life. You have lived through 2 years of a pandemic that no recent prior generation has seen, and you have experience that none of them have ever had. You will certainly achieve in ways that we cannot imagine. In going forward, don't fear failure, but have the confidence that you will succeed. You are indeed special.